Okay, we're back at the woods. I've fitted the tool rest to these poppets. I'm not very happy with the original lathe bed that we made, so I've made a larger lathe bed to go with these poppets, and I've started making another poppet to go with the original lathe bed. We're going to this tool rest support is fitted with a tapered dovetail, which gets quite tight. Obviously the dovetail is that way, it's tapered this way. The further it gets pushed into this dovetail, the tighter it gets. That's not everyone's cup of tea. It's quite a little bit of an awkward joint to make. On this poppet, we're going to do it a slightly simpler way. I'm just going to bolt the tool rest support onto this one. I'll cut a small housing so it can't move. And I'll put a couple of bolts in there to hold it in place. That way it can be flipped from one side to the other, so somebody who's left-handed can use the same lathe as somebody who's right-handed. Okay, so I've cut the housing out here. It's a little bit rougher than maybe I could have if I'd spent more time on it, but it'll do what we need. It's the same width as my tool rest support and it'll fit in there. It's quite a snug fit. I might have to give it a little tap, maybe not. And I'm going to clamp it on while I drill it. We've got different options for how the tool rest pivots. This one, I've just got an oak peg, goes into a hole. On the one that we're building now, I'm going to use a metal peg. Some people use just like a 6-inch nail or any old bit of metal bar that will work as a pivot to run on there. Alright, I'm going to cut a bit of metal. I'm going to go into the tool rest. I think we might go right through the tool rest, and then a bit going down into the poppet. So I want it a little bit longer. That should do me. Just going to file the sharp bit off the corner. File the edge off a little bit. Tool rest, drop the pin in there. Bring it over to the lathe. I've drilled this is actually 10mm this bar. It doesn't need to be as big as that, it's just what I happen to have lying around. Got a 10mm hole in there. Put that in there. And there's basically that's my tool rest. Without the saw cut, this is just a scrap of timber I've got lying around. I like to I mean, you'll make a tool rest whichever way you like. Basically, I like to have glued and screwed actually a disc of timber on here to make this more stable. It means that it's less likely to rock. It rocks less. You could just use a wider piece of timber. As I said before, I mean, you know, these lathes, they do kind of evolve depending on what materials I've got lying around at my disposal or whatever I can pick up. I like to reuse timber as well, so it's, I think it's quite important to be flexible with your design. Another thing worth mentioning, the tool rest support is very long on this one, and so is the tool rest. I'm not sure they need to be as long as this. Of course, you can cut it shorter, it's more difficult to make it longer. On the other lathe, the larger lathe, this one, I can see that I'm going to be turning bigger things in this lathe because it's more heavier and more stable. As this tool rest will need to come out quite a long way to get the large diameter bowl that I might want to turn on here. This tool rest support might need an additional something going from here just down to the ground, so I get less movement and flexibility in that. I don't really want movement and vibration when I'm cutting. I'd like it to be stable to make nice clean cuts. Alright, so we're complete. We've got, I'll show you the different setups that we can have for treadles. There are many. You look online, some people will just use a branch of a tree with a fork in it to offer stability. I've got a couple of different setups here. I can show you. This one is just a plank. I've drilled a hole in the bottom of the plank and put a peg in the ground just so it doesn't flap about everywhere. That's tied to, I use a sash cord. I don't like plastic cord, wearing microplastics going into the ground forever. This is a natural fibre. They will wear out and need replacing, but it's at no cost to the environment, so I'm alright with that. Obviously that wraps around the mandrel. It's quite grippy, this one as well. There's quite a lot of texture in this cord, so it does grip nicely. Obviously this is a very small bulb, but you get the gist of it. As that goes up and down, it spins my bit of wood. That's going up to a pole, which is the more traditional method, the drive, which is just a springy pole that it's tied to. You can also see up there, I've also got a bungee set up between these two beams, obviously, which does the same job basically. And I've got this I've got a leather strap which has got a nylon core. This is kind of like a drive strap for life. I mean, I don't know, it'll last a very, very long time. Obviously there is quite a lot of expense with getting the material for these, so you might not want to pay for the minimum order and go through the process of making it and getting it all put together. If you want to buy one, message me, I can supply those. The other treadles that we've got, I've got a couple more over here. This one's on a spindle lathe, but I don't see any reason why it can't be used on a bowl lathe as well. This kind of moves you kick this about from one side to the other, which means that there are hinges on the footboard which just keep it in place so it doesn't move around. It goes up and down like so, and the pivot allows you to move it from one side of your piece to the other. Okay, that's about it. I want to give a little mention to Sharif Adams, a guy who I get quite a lot of inspiration from actually. On his website, I think it's Wooden Way, he will supply you can download some plans which have got measurements on and diagrams, which actually what I used for the first lathe that I built. Of course this is only lathe number 3 and 4. They all vary slightly. Like I told you before, they do kind of evolve with me depending on what materials I've got at hand. I don't go to the mill and order a specific size bit of timber. I utilise what I pick up second hand or that I've got in my woodland. Great, so I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you again.